Helen Kane thought she could take on the Tinseltown Titans, but boy, did she learn the hard way. Fame, fortune and catastrophe. She found out that you don't go against the big dogs of Hollywood unless you have a bigger dog in your corner. At the height of her fame, everything was named after her. However, surprisingly, a cartoon that she inspired became her doom. A $250,000 lawsuit against a cartoon. This is how Helen Kane lost everything. Even if she isn't every critic's cup of tea, Kane could sing, and she could take advantage of her voice to sing songs with strong word focus. She was adaptable and infused different styles into her works. The singer could mix speech and singing and jumped on the scat singing style when it was popular. Some say her tunes were hot in nightclubs due to her speech singing. If there's anything that people would agree about Helen Kane, it's her influence during the heights of her fame. If you threw a baseball on the street, you would hit a poster of Kane or a person that looked similar to her. Everything was named after the star, baby talk singer and actress. Dolls, competitions about who looked like her the most, and perhaps the most iconic, a cartoon character which she served as an inspiration for. Although this character would be part of why the talented star would struggle at some point in her career. Through the cartoon character she inspired, we discover that Kane could also be quite the liar. She had an iconic case in court, which we will talk about later. In that case, boy did she lie. She claimed some things she had no right to claim. The suit brought out a different side to her, a side that people didn't think the Cupid doll-looking actress could have. When people look at Kane, they are seeing a childlike wholesomeness and innocence. She was small, plump, and looked like a child with her big brown eyes and short curly hair. Her voice even made her more childlike. It was a cute, squeaky voice that belonged to a baby, and her slight Bronx accent made her even more adorable. Despite being the public's baby girl, she wasn't a diva. The singer and actress had a large heart bigger than her 5-foot body. For instance, after the whole court case about the cartoon, she felt a great injustice was done against her, but she wasn't bitter. While she wasn't bitter, the superstar tended to exaggerate. When her career blew up and her fortunes changed for the better, Kane sensationalized her turnaround. She said stuff like, "One day I had 50 cents and the next day I had $50,000. Another iconic dramatic statement she made was when she said, "Money was falling off trees." Classic Kane. However, as adorable and infectious her humour was, her life wasn't completely smooth. She struggled and fought to have things that she had. Her story is a classic tale of ease coming after hardship, and the highlight was when she took Paramount to court for profiting off a likeness of her without giving her credit. So, let's tell you all about it. Helen Kane was born Helen Claire Schroeder on August 4th, 1903 in the Bronx. Her mother was an Irish immigrant and her father was from Germany. Life was tough in the Schroeder household. Papa Schroeder moved from one odd job to the next, and Mama Schroeder did laundry on behalf of other people. Cash was tight, but the couple tried to do right by their children. Helen attended St. Anselm's parochial school, and it was at this school that the actress first explored her artistic side. A school stage event was coming up. However, reports are conflicting on the nature of the event. Some say it is a theatrical event, another claimed it was a pageant. However, one thing was certain. The star convinced her mother to give her $3 so she could get a queen costume. From there the singer and actress took off, and by 15 she was already singing on stage professionally. She became a vaudevillian and toured the Orpheum circuit with the Marx Brothers before the brothers got switched to movies. She and the brothers sang on the balcony in their tours. She became a staple in vaudeville, and in the early and mid-1920s she toured as a singer and kick-line dancer in the All-Jazz Revue Theatre performance. This event allowed her to perform in the New York Palace in 1921. She met talents like Clayton, Jackson, Durante, Bill Robinson, Ken Murray, Lulu McConnell and Ruth Etting. At the New York Palace she got other Broadway engagements like Stars of the Future, which ran from 1922 to 1924, and which also got an encore in 1927. While she lived in the Bronx, the actress was Jessie Fordyce's roommate. When the Hamilton sisters came knocking, it was either they chose Fordyce or Helen. However, in the end, Pearl Hamilton chose Fordyce. But it was all good. The star worked with the Hamilton sisters and Fordyce, or the three ex-sisters as they would later become known. She also had nightclub gigs. However, she was stressed. The nightclubs were downtown, far from where she lived. The money wasn't much, but the actress was dedicated, and she braved the streets of New York late in the night as she went home after each show. Despite the chaos surrounding her career as a singer, the actress fell in love. Joseph Kane was the name of her lover, and he was a department store buyer. The two of them married, but theirs wasn't a marriage that would last, and by 1928 they had divorced. The actress caught her big break in 1927 when she performed in a musical titled A Night in Spain at the 44th Street Theatre in New York City. It ran for 6 months and a total of 174 performances. After that talent she showed poise. Kane then became a subject of discussion between Paul Ash, a band conductor, and Paramount Theatre. Paul recommended the actress for a performance at Paramount Theatre, New York, and she did well, singing That's My Weakness Now with a twist. Helen adapted some scatting into the song and it became a hit. Everyone was talking about the actress, and her agent Harry Besney capitalised on her fame to help her get a $5,500 a week gig in Oscar Hammerstein's show Good Boy. Not letting up, the actress returned to her roots at the New York Palace, but this time as the lead star on a $5,000 a week wage. The star also revealed she got an engagement where she was paid $5,000 just to sing a few choruses. For Kane, life had become better, and her humble origins had become a thing of the past. More acclaim came for her as she became famous. She had toys named after her, look-alike competitions, and a growing list of mostly novelty songs. The star also became a radio regular and had more lucrative nightclub gigs. Then Hollywood came knocking, and the actress entered the industry on a platter. In 1929, Paramount acknowledged her talent and signed her to make musicals. At the period, musicals were one of the fastest means of hitting box office gold. Sensational Kane began by getting a small role in the film Nothing But the Truth, which was about a man who had to not lie for 24 hours. The film starred Richard Dix as the man, and the actress acted while she didn't get a significant role, and managed to impress with her rendition of Do Something. The next role was in Sweetie, a college musical, and she was a comedic character. She was with Nancy Carroll and Stanley Smith. Rather than just a song, as it was in her last film, the brilliant singer was involved in multiple numbers, and paired with the amazing Jack Oakie. Her chemistry with Jack Oakie was off the roof, and they comfortably stole the shine from the film's main lead. For her third film, it was Pointed Heels, and she also supported the main characters in her usual comedic role. The main character was in a love triangle with William Powell and Philip Holmes, while Helen was delivering comedy gold with Skeets Gallagher. Kane was at the peak of her popularity, and she inspired Fleischer Studios animator Grim Natwick, Louis Fleischer himself, and other animators Dave and Max to create a cartoon character. The character looked like Helen, and they wanted to profit off her popularity. Their Helen caricature was a woman with droopy-god ears and a squeaky baby boop-a-doop scat singing voice. The animators named the cartoon character Betty Boop, and people received her so well that Betty became the star of her cartoons. Betty was a more realistic, sexy alternative to Disney's family-friendly cartoons, and the audience needed that in an era where censorship was killing off anything that looked remotely sexual. In the end, Betty became so popular that she began to replace Kane. But it didn't matter to Kane yet. She still had work, and the money was still falling from the trees. However, Paramount put the talented Helen in some pretty horrible films, and it dented her image. Imagine Betty Boop having more quality materials than Kane. Poor scripts or not, the star did get to dazzle with her ability and her boop-a-doop scatting. Paramount put her in Paramount Parade, an all-star review. There she played the role of a teacher teaching her students the art of boop-a-dooping. Bad scripts or not, Helen got a lead role in Dangerous Nan McGrew and in Heads Up. She dazzled, but it would be her last work with Paramount. Apart from the fact that scatting had reached its limits, they had her replacement ready, and it was a cartoon. The studio chose not to renew Kane's contract, and curtains closed for her in the studio. Helen moved on from Paramount, and the stage and radio welcomed her back. She continued her work and still had fame and money, but Betty grew more popular, and in 1932 the animators turned her into a human who looked like Kane, short curly hair, a plump figure, and large eyes, just as Kane looked. Then the cartoon began to corner Kane in the market as Paramount began to promote it heavily. Instead of Helen Kane dolls, there were Betty Boop dolls, and rather than look-alike competitions for Helen, it was for Boop. Kane decided she had had enough, and she sued. The singer claimed in her $250,000 suit against Max Fleischer, his studio, and Paramount Publics Corporation that she was unfairly competed against by a cartoon. She also said that Betty Boop wrongfully appropriated her. This suit was comical, as the judge had to sit through court sessions watching Betty Boop cartoons. As if this wasn't enough, he also had to watch Helen's films and listen to her songs to see if there were similarities with the scatting sounds. Fleischer was trying to prove that he didn't model his character after Helen Kane, and that the so-called Helen Kane look and singing voice wasn't unique to her, and he brought in the cavalry. The cavalry were the animators and the voice artists, of which Betty had quite a few. Mae Questel, Margie Hines, and Bonnie Poe all showed up in court and maintained that they weren't mimicking Helen Kane's voice. The singer would have none of it. She claimed that her voice and looks inspired the cartoon, but Fleischer showed that the voice was common, and the scatting sound wasn't unique to Helen, despite her trying to claim otherwise. Helen said she hadn't heard baby talk or any scatting sounds before she began to do it. We understand Helen felt aggrieved, but denying that she didn't hear any scatting sounds or baby talk before she began to do the same, that's a load of lies, and she felt comfortable saying it. She walked into that one as Paramount began to bring out instances where she was present when scatting sounds were played. Louis Bolton testified that the singer stole the scatting sounds from Esther Jones, or Baby Esther, an African-American girl singer. It wasn't only Louis saying this. Tony Shane had served as Esther and Kane's booking agent and revealed that he took Helen to see a Baby Esther show. From there, Helen began to use the boops in her own art. OK, so if Kane wasn't the owner of the sound she was trying to lay claim to, at least no one could deny the similarities between how she looked and how the cartoon looked. Kane was sure the cartoon was based on her. Grim Natwick, one of the animators, had also admitted that Kane was an inspiration for Betty, so finally a win for Kane. Not. Kane didn't own her looks, according to Paul Ash. Ash said that he intended for the singer to replace Paramount's Clara Bow, and that Kane was Bow's protégé. Awkward. So, according to Fleischer, Kane had no claim to the voice and the image. The judge, Edward J. McGoldrick, agreed with Paramount and Fleischer after more than 2 years since the singer first filed the case. The judge held that Helen hadn't proved that her singing style and her looks were unique, but Kane was a stubborn one, and she appealed. However, her appeal failed. "I consider it very unfair," Kane said after losing, but it became the smallest of her troubles. There was a more pressing one. She was in debt. How, you wonder? So the actress invested in a dress company in 1930, and when the company went bankrupt, the actress got a $46,500 fine. Sad things were just piling on her. The actress was used to them. She lost her second marriage in 1933 after a year. According to the actress, her husband stopped working after their marriage. However, she didn't curse her luck and mope around. She went straight back to work. She never actually stopped working, as she got gigs when her case was in court. One of the prominent gigs she had was Shady Lady in 1933, after which she returned to her vaudevillian roots and connected with the 3 ex-sisters from her earlier years as a performer. In 1935, the singer bowed out of show business and married Dan Healy, a showman extraordinaire. The third time was her charm, and with him she tried other things, including owning a restaurant business. But the allure of showbiz was something she couldn't truly abandon. Kane returned to dub Debbie Reynolds' voice in a musical, 3 Little Words, where Reynolds played Helen Kane. The actress also found work on TV and took it in good stride when people said she reminded them of Betty Boop, even signing Betty's posters for people. However, her bliss wouldn't last for so long. Helen Kane had breast cancer. She had mastectomies and radiation treatments, but the disease spread to her stomach. Still, she didn't give up and continued to work. She had another TV appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show and sang a popular Irish song. It would be her last time. A year after the appearance, she died. While she lost her $250,000, she gained everything else: love, peace, and happiness. Dive into our next video and discover the truth about whether Henry Fonda was a cruel person. Prepare to be astounded.